Twitch has its own things that it does. All right, looks good. Looking good, looking good. Shouts out to everyone on the Checkpoint XP Twitch channel. This is Geek Culture Congress, a special episode of Geek Culture Congress, because we are talking with the man, the myth, the legend, the inside scooper himself, Mr. Mikey Sutton from Geekosity Mag. And I'm so completely excited. Thank you, Mikey, for joining us today here on
Thank
Geek
you.
Culture Congress, man. I really appreciate it, okay? I'm going to do that whole spiel again, officially with my, podcast broadcaster voice. But it's kind of like the pre-show here, and just we're kind of like getting warmed up, make sure everything's working here under the hood. Thank you so much, man, for joining us today.
Yeah, and thank you as well. I mean, it's a thrill and honor to be here today with you and all your listeners, and thank you guys again for all your support the past few years. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem, no problem. Of course, Mr. Tarek Lewis is joining me here as well.
I'm happy to be present.
My original OG co-host,
Yeah.
the co-founder of the Geek Culture Congress himself.
Yeah, we're like Wu-Tang Clan now. There's
Yeah,
like
that's
6 of us.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. We keep growing.
I want to hear your mixtape now. Come on.
Oh man, yeah. If you follow me on the YouTube, yeah, you go. I do a lot of Latino stuff, but
Oh, okay. Right on. Right on.
salsa and reggaeton and stuff like that. But I do like old school 80s, and I love 80s, 90s dance music, stuff like that. I do a lot of that too.
About as 80s as it gets. So.
Right. See, we got that.
That's my decade, man. That's my decade.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna throw a countdown for everyone here on the Twitch
All
channel.
right.
So you're just gonna have to wait for us about 59 seconds, okay? And then we're gonna kick off the show.
All right.
Let's see here. Where's my thing here? All right. I gotta change that music somehow. Welcome to another edition of Geek Culture Congress. Now I am one of your hosts, as always, Louis Speedy Jr. Gonzalez, accompanied by my good friend, actor and comedian extraordinaire, Mr. Tarek Lewis. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I was enjoying the theme music to The Legend of Zelda when you're just walking around town.
That's what it sounds like. Oh, man. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the man, the myth, the legend, the insider scooper extraordinaire and all things Marvel, DC, Star Wars, you name it. Mr. Mikey Sutton, editor-in-chief and owner of GeekosityMag.com. Mikey Sutton, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here today. You guys have been covering me for so long now. I was like, man, I gotta be on their show, and started dropping some scoops. Why not?
Man. Yeah. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time out and joining us here live.
Beautiful Saturday here in Seattle. So
yes, that's awesome. No, it's been raining over here in Florida, so
we got backwards weather right now, right?
Yeah,
we
got
crazy.
Backwards weather. Yeah, it's getting colder now.
We deserve it because we talk trash and everybody has snow and cold weather. We talk trash. We deserve a little precipitation every once in a while.
Just to kick it off, Mr. Mikey Sutton, I want to talk about you, how you got started in doing what you're doing right now. You are a journalist first and foremost. You've been doing this for a long time. You are a published journalist as well. You work for many magazines and I mean, I'll just let you talk because it's your life and you live this. So I'll let you introduce yourself to everyone who might not know anything about you.
Most people think I'm some kind of an overnight sensation with the Spider-Man scoop from 2019, but I've been around forever, Yeah, I know. You ever seen the original version of The Shining
Mm-hmm.
At the very last scene where you see Jack Nicholson, his
Yeah.
old photo, like he's always been there. You
Right.
know, that's me. I've always been there, but you just don't know it. You know, but no, I got my start before many of you were born. I got my start in 1987.
Oh
Oh
wow.
wow.
And I was only 19 years old. I got published in the Philippines, where I'm actually from. I got published in a magazine called Movie Flash magazine. My mentor, my
Mm-hmm.
late mentor, Goldwyn Morales Azul, published my first two articles. I wasn't even in college yet. And just goes to show you how old this was, how long ago this was.
Mm-hmm.
My first published articles were two reviews of movies, and they were Maximum Overdrive and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
we're
Wow.
talking
I
like
was like,
a long time ago.
yeah, I was like 10, 11, 12, something like that. I don't remember.
By
And
the
they
way,
were new. They were new movies still, you know.
Yeah.
So
I remember Maximum Overdrive for being the movie that on the cover of it or a poster, the truck had the Green Goblin on it.
yes, that's the only memorable scene in the whole film, by the way.
Yeah. That's crazy that your Spider-Man, your career is revolved around Spider-Man stuff.
Spider-Man, I know, right? I mean, it's just crazy. You know, I never even thought about that. Like, wow, that just blows my mind. You know?
Yeah.
It's like you just gave me a WandaVision moment there, dude. Don't be serious. You know, like, wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it does start revolve around Spider-Man. Um, After that, moved back to the U.S. and right, it's everything about me has always been about timing, about the right time, right place, right time. I moved to Seattle right at the beginning of grunge.
Oh
Like
wow.
Okay. Oh
in
wow. So you.
'87.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
And
covering the grunge scene here in Seattle
I
once
meant to
I
bring
moved
that
here.
up as well. That you also write and wrote a lot about in the music industry as well. A
Yeah.
lot of rock scene and everything like that.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I
you.
covered Nirvana, Soundgarden, all those bands back in the late '80s and early '90s. There's just a long musical history there as well. My first published comic book related review was an Amazing
Mm-hmm.
Heroes magazine in 1990.
Okay.
And they were like pre-Wizard magazine
Right.
before a lot of these comic book media magazines started coming out. So
Mm-hmm.
I got my start in print, and the first article I got published in there was a review of Hellblazer with John Constantine. John Constantine was my first published article. It was about
Nice.
him, and I called Neil Gaiman the next big thing.
Oh wow. So
And
Ah,
sure
you
enough,
hit it
yeah,
on
he
the head.
became the next big thing. And so,
Sandman cometh.
Yeah.
and here's you just reminded me of something. My second published article had a Spider-Man cover on the magazine, so there you
Ah, well,
go.
there you go.
It was
See,
McFarlane
it's been
articles.
the Easter eggs were there since the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started reading comic books in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
First comic book I ever bought was Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu,
Oh wow.
Okay.
Okay.
which is when they announced the film, I was really excited about. Like, hey, that's the first comic book I ever bought.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
And
In
you still
fact,
own that.
actually, oh, you do? Yeah, there's the first 5 comic books I ever bought were Shang-Chi, and one was Spider-Man, of course.
Oh wow. Do you
With
still own
Daredevil, it
them?
was the first Frank Miller Daredevil too. He drew, so
Do you
I
still
go
own
way
them?
way back.
Do you still
But
own those?
yeah. So for Amazing Heroes, I went to Cinefantastique magazine
Mm-hmm.
and Fantasia. So I was writing about comic book movies or science fiction films and comic books long before the internet. Um, but things changed though. Things changed that
Right.
when I got on the internet and I started writing about music for the All Music Guide, and my career just went on from there. Just to jump it in time a little bit here, I started scooping around 2014, I believe, and I think Civil War might be my first scoop. And I was just some dude on Facebook. I had a couple of hundred friends that I would tell them all these scoops to, and it's from insiders that I met while I was working for those magazines.
Wow. So you always kept those connections all
I
all
kept them. Oh
throughout your.
yeah, yeah. They're, you never know when you can use them, and the MCU started to break big.
Right.
Um, and I got really into all those films, and so I had a group of friends that were really into these movies, and said, "Hey, do you want to know some secrets?" And and I had no website to share it to or anything, so I just
Right.
shared it with my friends. I said, "Hey, here's a plot of Civil War," you know,
Right.
Wow.
just in case you want to know,
So like I
Well,
mean you do this out of love of the fandom, really. I
Oh
mean you were
yes,
doing
that's
this out
all
of
it is.
fun, you know. It,
I
it
never even
became a
thought of
business
making it.
now, but you know.
Yeah, it was never my intention before.
Right.
And then I found out about the Spider-Man deal with Sony, and I broke that on my Facebook. And again, no one was really listening at the time. Um, and this was before the Sony leaks, the email leaks happened. So when that happened, like, whoa, wait a minute, Mikey, you're right about this deal going on. I said, yeah, you know. And the only YouTube show I was working with was Pete's Basement up in
Mhm.
New York.
I remember Pete's
Pete
Basement.
DeLuca
Well,
was a friend of mine. I
yeah,
was a
he
fan
still
of
has
their
a show.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they broadcast my Spider-Man scoop, the first deal, and I said the Black Panther is going to be in Civil War, and people are like, no way, no way, and all these naysayers and everything. Then it
Uh-huh.
happened,
Right.
and but again, no one was paying attention to me. I was just like off in my little corner of Facebook, some obscure guy. Um, a year later, it was 015. I had the scoop of a lifetime, and that was Disney and Fox were secretly talking about having a licensing deal for the X-Men, and similar to Sony and Disney with Spider-Man.
Right.
And Pete DeLuca, the host of Pete's Basement, he called it Foxville, and that went on his YouTube channel, Pete's Basement,
Mhm.
but no one really picked it up because again, I was some dude on Facebook. What does he know?
yeah.
Not realizing my history with Fantasia and
Right.
Fantastic and all these things.
Mhm.
You know?
That you
So they got attention on my Facebook and it got attention on Pete's Basement, but it didn't go anywhere. So after that, I started scooping more stuff. Like Brie Larson is Captain Marvel, and people were like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." No, she's Captain Marvel. And I actually posted it on like when she was at the Academy Awards when she
Mhm.
won.
Mhm.
I said she's on her way to meeting Kevin Feige right now for Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So you were dropping bombs and nobody was
Oh
paying
yeah,
She,
attention to you.
yeah,
I
she
mean,
she won for Room, the film Room.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
yeah, so
And there was a lot of speculation on who Captain Marvel is going to be. Who's going to play her. Emily Blunt was one of the ones that people kept bringing up.
mhm.
Um, and I can't remember. Katie Sackhoff was another one that there's a lot of fan casting
Yeah.
towards her, but no, I said it's Brie Larson, and no one really knew no one in fandom knew
Right.
who she really was. I mean, obviously people who watched mainstream films knew from her Oscar win,
Yeah.
and then after that, I decided to create a secret group of 270 people that I would give these scoops to. And I
Yes.
said, don't tell
And
anybody, keep it to yourself.
and I am proud to be a part of that group.
Yeah,
And that's when
yeah,
we started sharing the Mikey Sutton scoops on the show. So
yeah.
I was actually invited by another member of the group, our friend, our mutual friend, Randall Tarek.
Oh,
That
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So that's how you
Hmm.
got in. Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god! I hit a mine. I had a gold mine here." Like I was like, "Why?" And then the first thing I thought, Mikey, was first off, when you drop these kinds of scoops and stuff like that, I mean, it does get kind of discouraging. I mean, to a point where you didn't have the outlet that you have now with the website. You mean you were just
Hmm.
doing this as a journalist for fun
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
were just a fan of the fandom,
yeah.
and when you weren't being credited for it for a lot of these things.
Oh,
I mean,
man,
was that
there's a
like
lot of that
I mean
going on. Yeah,
that's just like something you don't do in journalism. I mean, it's just I mean, a lot of people don't learn that, but I mean, it's
yeah.
it's a taboo, and when it's a little offensive. I mean,
It is, yeah.
yeah,
There's a lot of thievery going around because someone knew who I was, so hey, we can rip him off, and no
yeah,
one knows who he is anyway,
right,
right? So
yeah. That's not fair. That's not nice.
yeah, we'll just take credit for this,
Yeah.
and when the Spider-Man, I call it Spider-Gate, the whole controversy with him leaving the MCU and everything. The night before it hit deadline, I got a text message saying that, hey, something's going on with Sony and Disney. There's a dispute going on, and this is gonna break tomorrow on deadline. And I said, you know what? Okay, I don't believe this. First of all, and the person who told me the scoop is a very reliable person. I said, okay, I know you're telling me the truth, but I think something is being exaggerated here. I just can't imagine Sony or Disney walking away from this. This is insane. It's like billions of dollars are going to be lost here if they decide to separate.
Right.
And so I said I refuse to believe this. I said, listen, I can't announce this because I don't believe it. So I'm going to contact some insiders tonight and see what they think, and we'll see what happens. So I didn't post anything. The next morning, man, my inbox was blowing up. Everybody like, is this true? Is this true? Like a deadline already come out with the
because you never really you did not drop the information.
Oh yeah,
so
everybody was panicking.
They were going to you for confirmation. Yeah.
I got I spoke to the person who gave me the Civil War script. There's one person that knows what's going on. Is this person, because he knew about the original Spider-Man deal, and he said, yeah, okay, there is a dispute, but Sony is basically being a hard ass.
Right.
And what they're gonna do is they're gonna try and get this on social media and create leverage for them to get a better deal for Spider-Man. That's all it is. They're not walking away. And I said, okay, well, see, that makes sense to me. It's called because I've done in business
negotiations.
It's negotiations. They call us the takeaway in business. It's when you pretend you don't want a deal. That way they will give you more to keep you in the deal, right? So it's a leverage ploy. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to Facebook, and I'm gonna post this now, and you just to calm some people down. That's all I was trying to do, just calm people down. I said, hey, this is what's really going on. Now I go to all the other websites, and everybody's freaking out, right? Tom Holland is leaving the MCU. No more Spider-Man: The Avengers for you. Like there's one website that said, "Come on, fanboys, start crying now, fanboys."
I mean,
I'm like, what the?
Any news is good news. They're gonna run with it, even if it's a negative headline.
Yeah. Oh man, they really capitalized on it. Like every YouTube channel was like saying it's over, or they're broken up, and I said, you know what? I said this isn't a divorce, okay? They're just having a trial separation or something, but it's not a divorce,
Right.
So I went on Facebook, not realizing the impact that it would have. Now I had no idea I was the only person saying this, because I posted thinking that, okay, if I get 100 likes on this or something, right? I posted it. I didn't look at my Facebook for hours. I come back and it's like 500 shares. I'm like, what? What is going on here?
Yeah.
And every hour it kept growing and growing. I started getting hundreds of friend requests. Right? I'm like,
wow.
Like, okay, did I just go viral without realizing what I was doing?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And then and it just kept snowballing from there, and people are like, okay, who is this guy? Somebody I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but somebody who had been my friends for a long time on Facebook took screenshots of all my previous bombs,
right,
and put them up, and I'm like, this guy is legit, because he scooped Brie Larson, he scooped Black Panther, and all these other things that I never got credit for back in the day. And I believe it was a website called Showbiz Cheat Sheet that put all this together and said, the guy who scooped this scooped that back in the day, and nobody knew. Yeah. And he's got screenshots.
Yeah.
When they did that, that was it. I mean,
you got you had the receipts, Facebook,
I had the receipts.
You could just go back and see what
it
posted. Yeah.
Really exploded. A week later, I was on the front page of Yahoo.com. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And I kept posting updates, right? I said, okay, they're still talking. Mm-hmm. Every other side was like, get ready, fanboys. He's gone. I mean, they kept like, oh, every day you're doubling down on this bogus
Right.
story.
Uh-huh.
And then the head of Sony said the door's closed, and I said, no, the door is not closed. They're just pretending it's closed. And like I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks later, Deadline or one of the other sites. Well, actually, before that, I said they're getting close to a deal. Is what I said. They're getting close to a deal. Then a couple of weeks later, Deadline on one of those other places announced a deal was made, and that's when things really, really went crazy. I'm like,
Wow.
oh my god, he was right the whole time.
Yeah. So
And
then just the whole universe started coming to you for everything.
oh yeah, and it's like I said, oh, I guess I am a scooper now, right?
Yeah. You've just been doing this since the 80s, you know. So,
Yeah,
you know,
it's like I got bitten by a radioactive spider or something, right? So with great power comes with great responsibility, right?
Yeah.
So after that, I didn't want to form Geekosity at all.
Okay.
It was the guy who's now my agent in the Philippines, Bamisciano. He said, we gotta start a Facebook group for all these
Yeah.
people who just discovered you.
I think it's great because now you Google, okay, is Spider-Man going, I mean, whatever it is the scoop is.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing that comes out is your website. I mean, you own your own pirate ship now. You know what I mean?
It's just crazy how that happened.
Yeah.
And I was very reluctant to do this, and I said, this is all fun. I mean, yeah, but you have all these scoops you're getting all the time. Aren't you going to share them with the world? I said, well, I guess I'll have to now. So he created the name Geekosity. That was his idea. He goes, let's call it
Okay.
Geekosity. I'm like, okay,
Okay.
sure.
Awesome.
And it took me a year to get a website going, even. So I mean, I was like very, very reluctant to do all of this.
Right.
Because I never thought of doing this for a living, but the feedback from fans, from followers, friends has been phenomenal, and you guys have been wonderful to me the past couple of years, and it's
Thank you.
very important for me to thank everybody. 'Cause I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys getting the word out there. Because I was ignored for 5 years, dude.
Well, and so I noticed that sometimes when you scoop something, Mikey, it doesn't take fruition sometimes right away, and some of the naysayers say, "Oh, well, yeah, this guy was talking about this and that," and maybe I mean, I would like to talk about WandaVision and warn anybody about any spoilers, of course, right now. If they haven't finished the final episode of
I got some things to say about that too.
Yeah. So I mean, you talked about a lot of things that that might have not. I mean, they haven't turned into fruition of what that show is, but definitely, they're definitely seeds have been planted.
Yeah. Guys, hold on. I want to get my notes. I'll be right back. And we'll talk. Give me a minute. I'll be right back.
No, go. It's okay.
Thank you.
Tarek, so season the episode 9. I mean, I love that the whole arc of this like new introduction to Wanda. That we didn't get at all. You know what I mean? It's like like a what they call it, like her origin story redone again.
Yeah. I just want to. I hate to be this person, but I just want to do a told you so. I believe in this from the beginning, and
you did.
But I love the backstory of Wanda. It was a little bit backstory on. They didn't really definitively say where her powers are coming from. Because in my mind, as a big Men fan, I'm like, oh, they're gonna make her a mutant at some point.
Right. They kind of
they're kind of going with the witch thing.
I just like the little seed that they planted for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is like a little subtle. Boop. We'll leave this here, and then but we're moving on. You know what I mean? Like I mean,
they committed to magic without committing her to magic.
Yes, that's
her. Right. Spoiler alert for anyone. I don't know.
No, we warned them already. We're going in.
Yeah. They committed her to magic without her saying, "Hey, I'm magic." She was kind of like, "No, I'm not. I'm something else."
Right.
And we saw the importance of the Mind Stone, and then she comes from the Mind Stone, and this whole, and so they committed her to trying the magic stuff,
right,
without saying she's a purely magic being, which I like, because I'm not a big fan of the magic side,
right,
of any universe really. unless it's about magic. I'm not a big fan of that, and I like they kind of still kept it separate.
So, what do you think about the Vision's arc? I mean, as far as just the character, like right now, do we expect more from Vision? I mean, that little, obviously he kind of like rebooted himself there in the episode without totally completely ruining it for everyone, but
Yeah, there'll definitely be more Vision. Kudos to the writers or showrunners or whoever was creative behind that to bring him back. And I didn't realize there was a White Vision in the comic books.
Oh yeah, is the thing.
Yeah, well, I wasn't really aware of that.
Yeah,
but it's dope. The way they brought that character into being was great, and it kind of paralleled how Vision was brought into being.
Right.
If you remember, Thor woke him up and was like, with the, with his hammer, and Vision was kind of like, I don't know, what am I, and he developed. So I feel like White Vision is kind of doing that and is trying to figure things out. So it was really good.
All right. We're here in the live show here in Checkpoint XP. Shouts out to everyone who's joining us live. Red Lodge 5 wants to know when Mikey Sutton comes back. He wants to know if we will see Kingpin's Thunderbolts ever in the MCU. And Victor Grigg, shout out to you. Thank you so much. Mikey does get a lot of early info, and he still doesn't get quite recognized for his scoops. They still kind of do steal his stuff once in a while, but he's got his own website now, so that's what that he's got the receipts now. So
yeah, it's got the receipts. Yeah.
Red Lodge says, "Bring me Secret Invasion." So another spoiler alert. We had a little tease there at the end. Did you see all the cutscenes there at the end of the last episode?
Yeah, I did. I hope so. I mean, hope I didn't miss anything.
Okay. Well, there was 2.
The one with the scrolls,
and
then there was Wanda doing magic in this
in the little cottage.
Yeah.
That one scene where the scroll appears to Monica Rambeau. Do you think she will be part of this new Secret Invasion TV episode? I mean, I think obviously that's what they're setting up.
Well, is the Secret Invasion, is it going to be a television thing?
Yeah, it's going to be on Disney Plus, apparently.
Okay. Yeah, I think she'll be part of it. Definitely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. They think they'll probably keep her TV instead of making, I think TV people will appear in movies, but I think they'll probably keep her TV.
Yeah. I agree, Red Lodge. I think Spectrum is going to Nick Fury up there. Apparently, I was waiting for Nick Fury to appear on the big movie screen there.
Well, everyone had like their own personal expectation for who's going to be showing up, and that's the beauty of it, just because to disappoint those people.
Right.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, Mikey. Mikey.
Yeah, there's a lot of expectations. I think that were kind of doused by the reality of the show.
It's like you said, like you tell everyone. I mean, things go on the cutting room floor. You know what I mean? Like ideas and maybe things were discussed or things that would have been cool.
Yeah, WandaVision. I'm telling you, it's a very special project, but also there was a lot of false information that leaked from that show, and I think it was intentionally done.
Yeah, do you think so? That was my other question to you, Mikey.
Yeah.
Not necessarily about what was talked about WandaVision, all the speculation from anybody, even from yourself. But if do you think now Marvel and DC are really getting on the scoop train? Like they're like, and they're using people like yourself as kind of like a test market. Let's put this out there and see what.
They've been doing that for you. They've been just. Like I've never revealed this before, but they've been doing this for years now. And there are what I call intentional leaks. I know they were for WandaVision, because why didn't Disney put a stop to the Quicksilver footage that leaked out early? Because normally they put a hold on that, or they put a cease and desist to YouTube that you can't show this footage. Right. That was intentionally leaked to hype it up. Hey, look, Evan Peters is Quicksilver, or seems to be
right
on this show. there's no way that was not an intentional leak because Disney is very tight with their copyrights,
Right.
and that stuff was everywhere. It was on Facebook.
Yeah.
Everybody saw it,
Yeah.
unless you're
No, they let it happen, or
consciously
they made
trying
it
to
happen.
avoid it.
Yeah. Yeah. They let it
Yeah.
happen or made it happen. Yep.
So there is a lot of red herrings in that series.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of false information that came out, and intentionally so to play with your minds. And
Right. So you think they were trolling us on purpose?
oh,
What
they
you're
were
saying?
trolling us.
Especially with
But
little Easter eggs.
yeah, well, here's the thing: the story's not done.
Yeah, that's not.
It's not done. I mean, it's going to continue on Spider-Man: No Way Home and Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. I mean, it's so like if you're thinking that hey, no way is Mephisto in this, well, you see in the comic books,
Mm-hmm.
those twins were made from the soul of Mephisto,
Right.
and they've been kind of faithful to the comic book so far. I mean,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
with the dark hold and everything, so I
so
wouldn't rule it out. And I scooped a couple of months ago that Spider-Man: No Way Home will be influenced by One More Day,
wow.
and
Yes.
in that comic book, Mephisto,
Yeah.
what was in it. So he
As,
erased Mary Jane's
mm-hmm.
memory of their marriage.
Yes, that's
So
right. Which is still
uh,
prevalent in the current Marvel storyline
yeah,
of Spider-Man today. That whole
yeah,
that whole saga there.
yeah. So
That was received very negatively
it
back in the
was,
day.
it was.
Yeah.
But if you think it's so was Civil War too was polarizing to people back
Mm-hmm.
then.
Mm-hmm.
But Kevin Feige has a way of taking material and making it better. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I can see where they're going with this. Let me do it better.
Yeah, he
So he'll
makes stuff that shouldn't be able to be depicted on screen or
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
palatable by
yeah.
audiences. In short doses, he makes it very palatable.
He does. He does.
He's
He's
like
very brilliant at that.
the seasoning guy from Miami. And he just
Yeah. Just
just fix this up a little bit and serve it. Here you go. You know what I mean?
But the story is not done. I mean, is
Mm-hmm.
Evan Peters really that Ralph Boner guy, or is that his witness protection name?
right.
Right.
So we don't know. I
We
mean,
don't know.
and to me, WandaVision is a Phase 4 setup.
Mm.
I mean,
Do,
obviously the very end, Skrull invasion is being set up.
apparently, yes.
Yeah.
I expect the Nick Fury to show up on that big movie screen, but
Hmm
that would have been pretty cool. His face pop up there.
And I mentioned this in the previous scoop on
Mm-hmm.
geekositymag.com about the
Mm-hmm.
Nexus. And there's a Nexus ad in WandaVision. In the comic
Yeah.
book, there is something called the Nexus of all realities.
That's right.
It is the gateway to the multiverse.
Mm-hmm. And I had a
And
bunch of
so, what is that?
speculations
I get
about that too.
what's that in her basement? I mean,
Yeah.
you see
That.
all the purple vines in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See in the comic book, the Nexus was guarded by Man-Thing.
That's right. And I actually I had messaged my friend Tarek, and I was like, "Hey Tarek, I think one of the characters who is actually Tarek's friend that's
Yeah.
on the show."
Oh,
I messaged
really?
him, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, they went to the same acting school together."
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
David Payton Herb, aka David Payton, is uh from the same acting studio as me.
That's awesome.
yeah, we're trying to
Yeah.
get him on the show. Tarek's working on that, but
Oh, that'd be
I
wonderful.
I texted him because I know a little bit of the Man Thing lore just
Yeah.
from being a nerd. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
was like, hey man, I think your buddy is Man Thing because he was trying to break out. Me speculating. Me crazy
Yeah.
speculating. I had no
Yes,
nothing.
I couldn't get any intel on that, but when I saw that Nexus ad, I'm like, what is it referring to?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because the multiverse is coming. I mean,
Oh,
it's
definitely, definitely.
out in the open already. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
what is it? I mean, and in fact, the Nexus isn't in the Florida Everglades, right? I believe. So it's
There
somewhere
we
right
go.
where you guys are. You guys might see the
We might
Nexus
get sucked
somewhere.
up. Yeah.
You get swept up in there.
So do you like a lot of people are talking about in the chat in the live chat about
Yeah.
mutants. So do you like the little subtle mutant seed that was planted in WandaVision?
Yeah, and I think as we watch the episodes over and over again, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna see more that's hidden there. I have a feeling there's more that we haven't really like. Well, wait a minute, I didn't catch that. Something in the background or whatever. Um, but I do believe that there was a substantial amount of intentional misleading in the
Oh yeah,
series.
absolutely, absolutely.
Especially the whole Bettany thing with the cameo
Yeah,
and the
with the cameo. hmm
Skywalker,
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing. We all thought Reed Richards was gonna show up. I
Yeah,
mean,
we had it was all kinds of crazy
Al
speculations.
Pacino's Mephisto,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. Well, Mr.
he's gonna
What was
come
it?
out like full on Scarface or something.
Uh-huh.
Like,
There
say
was
hi to my little
Nightmare.
friend.
Nightmare. Remember they were talking about Nightmare was gonna
Well,
be in
not
the
really
movie.
Nightmare.
I just feel
but
bad for all those people who spent top dollar on the first appearance of Mephisto on Silver
well,
Surfer.
you
I
know
think number
what?
3.
I would suggest they hold on to it because we don't know what's coming
Oh,
yet.
you
And
never know. Yeah,
like,
don't
like,
fold yet.
where are her kids? Because, like I said,
Uh-huh.
in the comic, those kids were made from his soul.
Yeah.
Did they go back to Daddy?
That's cool.
I mean,
Right.
Red Lodge 5 on Twitch says that Mephisto has the kids now. That's what he believes. We don't know. We don't know.
I still think because from what I heard before was Mephisto was going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
And he was going to make everybody forget that
Right.
Peter Parker was.
I like it. He's in trouble now.
Yeah.
I like the way it's going. I mean, it's.
But if the I don't, but they see. I just saw a report last week that they're changing the script as we speak. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's like the original Iron Man film where they kind of write it as they went along.
So
Yeah.
so you as a scooper, you'll get the inside info, and then things change. I mean, things evolve.
Yeah.
Or should I say? As story writing and script rewriting happens, and
Oh god.
happens all the time. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. You see, I get scoops like before scripts are written when they're just talking and brainstorming sessions and hey, will this work? And let me tell you guys, some of these leaks are intentional
Right.
because you're trying to gauge the reaction of the public. You like this? You like this direction here?
Right.
And DC does this quite often because
Yes.
of the two
We're gonna talk about
studios,
DC in a minute.
and they're the ones that are kind of unsure about what to do.
Yeah, no, they don't have a Kevin Feige, that's for sure. Red Lodge. I'm sorry. I want to keep engaged with the people who are live on Twitch here with us. Rodimus303 asks, "Are the recent X-Men rumors about the mutants title true? Do you believe
Okay,
it to be
I
true?"
will say this diplomatically. I haven't heard of the project being called, at least the main X-Men film.
Right.
I haven't heard anything about it being called The Mutants. Now, this could be a separate project, but I have to say I was skeptical when I heard it because Kevin Feige said, he mentioned something about, we have plans for the mutants. And I'm like, I don't know, just somehow I was
So
like,
vague.
yeah, well, like, okay, did this scoop come from that? Him saying that,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Because from what I have been told, I asked about this after Kevin Feige said mutants at that time. I said there was some clickbait that came out afterwards that they're not gonna call it the X-Men because it's politically incorrect, because it's gender specific or whatever. Yeah, seriously, yeah. So then they're gonna call it the mutants instead. I'm like, okay.
Sometimes I think we live in an alternate universe.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my issue with that.
Yeah.
X-Men is a brand name.
Absolutely.
It's $1 billion brand name.
Yeah.
You say X-Men, people know what you're talking about.
It's a proven brand too.
Yeah, it's a marketing thing. I mean, you don't call Superman like Super Person.
Yeah.
Even Warner is not that dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, this mutant. There could be. I'm not ruling it out. There could be a separate project called the Mutants. Maybe it's a New Mutants reboot. I don't know. But the main X-Men film will not be called the Mutants. It's going to be called the X-Men. I mean, come on. Every kid grew up in the 90s watching the cartoon. they're gonna know it's the X-Men because just because something is called the mutants doesn't mean the general public is automatically going to think it's the X-Men.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
And in the film industry too, I'm sure you know this, Mikey. Like sometimes things have tentative titles.
Yeah,
So it's like,
exactly. Working
okay, we
titles.
figure out what to call it.
Yes.
Let's just call it the mutants.
Yeah.
That way we know it's X-Men, but let's just call it the mutants.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, because wasn't there a show called Mutant something back in the early 2000s? I can't remember what it was called, like Mutant X or something. And it had
I
nothing to
think
do
it
with
was
the X.
Mutant X.
Next, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so you don't want that kind of confusion. You want people to know this is the X-Men. You know?
Yeah.
And see, the people, the general public is not knowledgeable in that Marvel has the rights to the mutant name. People are going to think like mutants. What's this? Is this the X-Men? You don't want to confuse the general public. You want in your face X-Men. Okay. And no, I refuse to believe the main film is called The Mutants.
Yeah.
Especially after New Mutants, like you wouldn't be associated with that movie right now. I mean,
Before we move on, Mikey, I want to. Red Lodge asks, will we see ever Kingpin's Thunderbolts?
I couldn't hear. What was that again?
Red Lodge 5 asks if we will ever see the Kingpin's Thunderbolts in the MCU.
Okay, man. You know what? I thought you said Kingpin's underwear, and I'm like,
no, we wouldn't want to see that.
It'd be a parachute.
I don't think Vincent would like that either.
Some things you never want to see in your life, right? But,
Yeah.
You know, I was skeptical about the Thunderbolts before, namely because there was a lot of speculative scooping years ago that Norman Osborn would be the big bad of the MCU, and that's why the Thunderbolts were coming. I'm like, the problem there is Norman Osborn can't be the big bad of the MCU because he's owned by Sony, and Marvel is not going to build up all these movies
for another
in
company.
fear that Sony might pull the rug out from under them. Not that they will, but you're not going to do that for a character they don't own. So I thought, no, there's no Thunderbolts. Now you take Norman Osborn, big bad, out of the picture. Okay, then I can see Thunderbolts coming through, but it'll be through Disney Plus. It wouldn't be. I just can't see Marvel doing a villain movie. Kevin Feige is not into that.
It definitely would have to be set up with a long game plan and
long
of course
game plan,
Kevin
yeah.
Feige, Kevin Feige is the master of that. I mean, we've already seen him execute already.
And we have Baron Zemo in his real costume now on Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
So Thunderbolts are coming, but it'll be a Disney Plus. It's not going to be a theatrical.
I think so. I think that's where it needs to be, something like that. Let's talk about DC. The DC EU.
Before we get DC, let me drop a scoop right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's drop an exclusive. Geek Culture Congress exclusive.
I wish I had stuff like the Lords of Longbox do. I love that.
Oh yeah, the cannonball thing. Yeah, I love that.
One day I will have my game like Timbo does. But,
yeah, it's funny because last Sunday was the first time I went live announcing before the cannonball came out. I was like, oh, that felt good. I only got a chance to do it. This is Spider-Man related.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, I scooped that. Yeah, okay. Let's backtrack a little bit here as well.
Okay.
One of my first Spider-Man scoops after Spider-Gate was Spider-Man being in the Fantastic Four. Now,
yes, I did
keep in mind this was a year before John Watts was announced as the FF director. So at the time, people were like, why is Spider-Man in the FF? Even I didn't know. I just was told that Spider-Man will be in the FF. It'll be kind of a homage to the Amazing Spider-Man #1, where he tries to join the FF because he's broke and he needs money, and he thinks that the FF are going to give him a salary. So that's why he is going to appear in an FF film. I had no idea that John Watts was going to direct the FF. So there's actually a really direct correlation between the two franchises now. So around that time, I said, okay, Avengers Tower will be the Baxter Building. And a lot of people were saying that Norman Osborn was going to be the one purchasing it. And I said, no, that's not going to happen because that building, again, it's Marvel property, it's MCU property. They're not going to have Norman Osborn in a Sony film taking over Avengers Tower. I mean, there's a whole deal between the two, and Kevin Feige is very possessive.
Right.
So
as well, he should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Spider-Man: Far From Home, at the very, very end, there was that scene where it kind of like gave you an idea of like had like the numbers 1, 2, 3, and I think the 4 was missing. If you watch the scene, it hints at that something is going to happen to that building. It's a very brief scene. And I mentioned at the time, I said that building is going to be the Baxter Building. And from what I heard just recently, in Spider-Man No Way Home, the very last scene or post-credit, they're actually going to name it the Baxter Building.
Wow.
And we will see that in the film. And ties in with John Watts directing the FF.
Explosive, ladies and gentlemen. It will happen. You will see the tie-in there.
Your first glimpse. I don't think Reed Richards is going to show up or anything, but the building will have a name.
From learning this from WandaVision, definitely it's very little subtle, like little.
Oh yeah,
let's put this here.
Yeah. I mean, there's little hints of stuff everywhere, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I
DC.
Yes, DC, the Snyder.
All right.
Let's go into the recent headlines. Okay, so the gentleman who played Cyborg, I forget his name.
Yeah, Ray Fisher. Yeah,
Ray Fisher. Okay, yeah. Ray Fisher posted Twitter, a Twitter post saying about his recent entanglements with racism while he was filming the Justice League with Joss Whedon. And then we have a big announcement from Warner Brothers saying they're working on Black Superman. So, my question to you, Mr. Mikey Sutton, was that a deflect and disarm moment?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Because I mean, it's just like, oh, we're looking at Black Superman. Look, we're not racist. We're not. Well, we're not.
It's initially J.J. Abrams. When he signed that big deal with Warner, a lot of the people, were saying at the time that he's gonna have Henry Cavill in it, and I said no, he won't, because J.J. Abrams is gonna have his own little toy box. He's not gonna have his own continuity. He's not gonna go with anybody else's continuity. He's not gonna follow Zack Snyder's lead.
And DC is a different animal. I mean, the multiverse is a thing with
exactly.
in DC from day one.
So back then, I did hear that they were planning on having a Black Superman, and I wasn't familiar with the Calvin Ellis character at the time. The idea I heard back then, I didn't post it at all because I was skeptical of this. It was, the idea was so bad. I said I can't imagine Warner Brothers. Not the Black Superman idea. Beyond that, no, there's stuff that you don't even know yet. Like what it was being discussed was making Krypton like a Wakanda-like place. Like DC wanted to do their own Black Panther with Superman.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, this is not gonna go well. This sounds bad. This sounds really.
I'm already out.
Are you already out, Tarek?
Already out.
I have the comic book, and I actually read the story. It is very interesting. I had it. The Final Crisis.
There's no mention of Calvin Ellis, so I had no idea. I thought this idea just came out of Abrams' head or something, or just.
No, I think that would have been even worse.
Like, I guess Warner was really envious of Marvel Studios for Black Panther because they had Cyborg was their black character, and they couldn't do anything like this with them. And they saw all the awards that Marvel Studios got, and they were like, well, why can't we do this? And Abrams was on board, and he wanted to do his own take on Superman, and so he wanted to do a Black Superman. So the Wakanda idea came from Warner. I don't know who that idea came from, but let's make Krypton like Wakanda. And I'm like, oh. What?
Wow. Well, I know that if you notice, I have the Future State House of L book, and a lot of those
Yeah.
characters on there are pretty dark
Yeah.
skinned.
Listen,
So,
man.
yeah.
Listen. First of all, Krypton's too close to Compton. I don't like that. and it inevitably gets destroyed. So there's two pieces of it that I don't like.
So
and then from what I heard is that okay, it gets worse, right? It gets worse. I heard that this black kid, this black Kal-El, I don't know what his name was going to be on the Wakandan Krypton.
right.
He was going to be sent to America, and it gets, okay, it gets worse. It gets worse. This is where it really goes off the rails.
Oh wow!
And I said, I can't write this. This sounds so stupid. There's no one. But you know what? It's these executives. They don't know comic books, and they don't know common sense. I mean, they know money. That's all they know about, really. But anyway,
it boils down to that they don't have a Kevin Feige. That's what it really boils down to.
They don't.
Yeah.
And so he gets sent to Earth like Kal-El does, right? But he gets adopted by a white couple.
Wow.
Like, all right, this is sounding worse and worse and worse, right?
Yeah.
And so he's trying to assimilate, you know. Look at Derek's face.
Yeah, look at Derek's face.
Look at your face.
Don't try to understand it. It's DC stuff, bro.
It's like Super Webster. Like it's Webster, but like
Webster.
That's
where they got the idea from, Webster.
So
or different strokes.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
With a little bit of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, probably.
Yeah, there you go. Like, man, I can't. I said, I'm not running this. I can't run this. I mean, this is so embarrassingly bad. And again, I didn't know about Calvin Ellis, so I wasn't familiar. I thought, well, why not just do Steel, right? You know, if you want to do that, just do reboot Steel. I mean, we have Icon, you know. I mean, But then all of a sudden, I didn't hear anything anymore. I thought, okay, they gave up on the idea, and now you know they got that a year or so later. They got that very famous writer who is doing this film, and I'm pretty sure they threw all those bad ideas away. But honestly, it's no coincidence. They should greenlight this during the Ray Fisher scandal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's no coincidence.
Definitely like.
No coincidence.
I mean, I just noticed it right away. I was like, you know, when I read one headline and then I saw the other headline. I'm like, you know, I mean, come on, guys. You know, I mean, whatever. But so let's say all this alternate.
You guys are the
universe
first
where...
time I ever told anybody this too. So you guys are another exclusive here.
Yeah, exclusive.
It's what I call a stink bomb because this is so bad.
It's bad, yeah.
But at least you know the origins of
why those two announcements happened.
Awful.
So yeah.
That was an awful idea.
So in the universe where the Zack Snyder's Justice League takes over the internet and the entertainment narrative after it comes out, does Zack Snyder get redeemed and get another shot at doing whatever he wants with DC products?
Yeah, well, here's the situation with Zack Snyder. He's not done yet. I mean, I know he is saying that, okay, this is it and it's final. Right. What Zack is trying to do, again, he's trying to get a better deal. He wants the fans to show their love for the project, obviously. And he wants to do more for DC. He really does. I mean, whether you like his material or not, he's very passionate about his films and you know how he handles them. Whether they're your cup of tea or not, he's very real about it.
Yeah, he made a really good comic, close to the comic source version of Watchmen, except for a couple.
Oh yeah, that was it. I mean, like almost scene by scene, right? I mean,
it was literally the graphic novel on TV. Yeah, or on movie.
But the thing with this is that it'll be on HBO Max. I mean, whatever he does in the future, if this succeeds, it'll be HBO Max. Because I'll be honest with you, Warner Brothers doesn't like him very much. I mean, I don't know about him personally, but his material, his movies, they don't like it very much.
Why do you
Because,
think that is?
well, Walter Hamada, the president of DC
Mm-hmm.
Films, and Toby Emmerich, the chairman, they want an MCU. They've
Right.
been wanting this for
Of
a
course.
while now. And when Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice didn't do MCU numbers, because that should have been an over $1 billion movie,
Right.
box office. And Civil War, I think, made more money than BVS. I mean, with the kind of budget it had, they're like, hey, we have Batman and Superman for the first time in a film. This should be at least over $1 billion. They blamed it on Zack. They blamed it on Jeff Johns. Um, notwithstanding the fact that that film had, there's an extended version of BVS that had all the stuff that wasn't in the theatrical version. Zack Snyder makes long movies. He thinks like a graphic novel. That's how he frames his films. And that's why Justice League got butchered so much. But when BVS didn't perform as well as it should have, the pressure was on Justice League to get Avengers numbers. They're like, this has to do an Avengers like box office.
I think if something's made like that, it was already set up for failure.
It was.
By that
And that's what
expectation.
they got Joss Whedon in there, and they think, hey, give us an Avengers now.
Right.
I mean, they couldn't wait. They were so impatient
Wow.
about it, and so they are biased towards Zack Snyder in terms of their feelings about his movies, but in terms of money, I mean, his films didn't make enough money for them, and they were all expecting him to be like Kevin Feige, and it didn't happen. Well, Snyder is not Kevin Feige; he's his own person.
Right.
And so they've been wanting to kill this project since the beginning. They didn't want to release Snyder Cut.
So why greenlight it? Just because of the highlight, the movement, the release of Snyder Cut movement, or
That's
why?
a part of it, but I'm telling you, the real part is a part they don't talk about, and no one else has really talked about it except for me. I brought it up so many times. The Rock has been pushing for the Snyder Cut. He really wants.
Really? Wow.
He really wants the DCEU to continue because his Black Adam will be a part of it.
So that tells me that The Rock saw the whole storyboards and saw the whole.
Oh yeah, he saw all of that
stuff. And he's like, you know what? This is freaking great. You guys need to do this. You know what I mean?
Well, see, here's the difference. The Rock wants a cinematic universe, not necessarily an MCU. He just wants a cohesive universe where the films are linking, connecting to each other.
Where his
like
characters
can cross over,
Right.
He wants Black Adam to fight Henry Cavill. I mean, let's
absolutely. Who doesn't
he
want
wants it? Everybody wants to see it, right? Who doesn't want to see it? And so he's been pushing it. Now AT&T has been pushing it as well because they want content for HBO Max. AT&T doesn't really care about theaters. What they care about is their streaming service. Because why, wait if a film makes billions at the box office, we can make that kind of money every month with HBO Max and keep building from there. And with Disney Plus, they want to knock Disney Plus off the chart.
Off the top spot.
Oh yeah, they want it,
Definitely.
And they see Disney Plus as Michael Jordan in the '90s Bulls. You know what I mean? Kevin Feige is counting his rings, man. They're all different colors, right?
Yeah. He's like the Mandarin right now.
Yeah, exactly. But and AT&T, they bought Warner for this. I mean, that's what they want. If all that content they can put in the streaming channel, and so they're like, okay, if the Snyder Cut can get us a lot of subscribers right away, because at the time, a lot of the content on HBO Max was old. Wanted exciting new material that would captivate audiences like the Mandalorian was for Disney Plus. Oh, they got really jealous of the Mandalorian. Like, oh, man, how come we can't have something like that, And so Green Lantern was greenlit from Greg Berlanti. And if the Snyder Cut takes off, AT&T is going to push for more from Snyder. And he can do whatever he wants on HBO Max. I mean, he can make long movies. I mean, you'll have the freedom to do what he wants. But DC
So,
Films, Walter Hamada, doesn't want to have anything to do with them. They want to bury this project.
so
And
let's say the negative side of this occurs. We waste 4 hours of our life. The
yeah,
Snyder Cut is panned critically and through the fandom. What
yeah.
happens to poor Zack Snyder?
Well, I think then it is the end. I mean, if it doesn't perform well, then I think he can do more zombie films somewhere, or where else his services are more welcome. But everything is riding on the Snyder Cut. It has to do well.
Yeah, is he's doing Army of the Dead too? Correct.
I believe so. I haven't been
Yeah, it's on
following it too
Netflix, I
much,
believe. I believe it's on
but
Netflix
Yeah.
or
yeah, I
HBO.
mean, he's got Netflix
He'll be fine.
will continue
Yeah,
offering him projects,
yeah.
but the Snyder Cut will be the deciding case for him in the future of his DC work. Um, but the thing is, they have The Rock, and The Rock really likes that universe, because when the Joker came out, DC Films was like, hey, well, let's make every film like a standalone. Forget the
Mm,
DCEU.
right.
Hmm.
We'll have directors do their thing. And The Rock was like, no, no, I wanted a connected universe. I mean, that's why I got into it. That's why I want to do Black Adam, so I can meet up with the Justice League of America,
Right,
meet the
right.
JSA,
Yeah.
and fight Henry Cavill. People want to see those things, and The Rock is a huge fan of the MCU. He's been feeling left out of this. I'm like, hey, where's my big franchise like that? He sees Robert Downey Jr., with this mega billion franchise that he's gonna age into.
Right.
Um, and The Rock's like, no, I don't want these standalone films. I don't want Black Adam not to appear with Doctor Fate. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
The
I
chat.
want this universe. You guys can do it well, and he's a huge fan of Zack Snyder's work. So he's got the biggest cheerleader in The Rock. But
And
The
he's definitely
chat.
one of the biggest. His name is a moneymaker.
oh
I
god,
guess
yeah,
he wasn't getting what he wanted from Jumanji, from the
no,
Jumanji universe.
I tell you, Black Adam, if it's really done well, it's gonna break the
Oh
bank.
yeah, it's gonna be great. I think it's
You
gonna be
know,
great if it's done well.
and so
The
and
chat
he
is
wants to
asking
meet with
about.
Shazam. So, huh? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. The chat is asking about Harry Potter. Are we gonna see some more significant stuff about Harry Potter soon, Mr. Mikey Sutton? In his
Well,
universe, or are they gonna touch that product
all
more
I know
meaningful?
about is the HBO Max shows that they were. Beyond that, I'm not, and that wasn't my scoop either. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not too sure
Okay.
about what they're gonna do with
Okay.
that.
We'll move on from that. Let's. It says also Cavill will be more valued by Feige than Hamada, and you did talk about that they are eyeing him to
Yeah,
play Captain Britain, I believe.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. And I was talking about this on Pop Culture Minefield yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Warner Brothers doesn't really care about Superman. I mean, they
Wow, that's a
never
strong
really
statement.
understood the character. They love Batman, like they want more Batman movies, like spin-off films. They want
Right.
That's why Birds of Prey was made, because
Hmm.
anything related to Batman, they think is bank. It's the Joker made $1 billion, right? So
Right.
let's make Batman villain movies, and I think like they're like a Catwoman film, like. I see your expression on your face. They're like, yeah, right. It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
like, well, it's Batman.
I
It
see
has to
him.
do well. Well, Birds of Prey didn't do very well, but there's not enough Batman stuff in it as well.
They really need to read a comic book. I don't think they.
I
I
think
think
that's the
that's the
problem with
issue.
DC. I think
I
that's
don't think.
really the
Yeah, they don't
problem
have
in a
enough
nutshell.
comic book readers.
Oh, right.
You watch some of those behind the scenes on Marvel on
Yeah,
Disney, and you can see like all the even Ryan Coogler and Favreau. They're
yeah,
all like clearly fans.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think Warner Brothers has a lot of business people because it's
yeah,
AOL, Time Warner, AT&T, like you said.
yeah,
I mean, Disney is Disney, but Disney's thing is entertainment. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, Marvel Studios will hire when Kevin Feige is good at finding talent. But he finds talent that are connected to the material that they're doing. James Gunn was a huge fan of the '70s cosmic Marvel comics, and all the quirky stuff. That's why his films, you can tell they were heavily influenced by Steve Gerber in the '70s those quirky cosmic Marvel books. Like Howard the Duck, for instance. That's why Howard the Duck was in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But DC, Warner, on the other hand, they don't really know. I mean, they know money and they know Batman.
I'm
Like,
glad. Yeah.
they're like, hey, Nolan made billions. Tim Burton did really well. Joker made $1 billion. Let's make some more of these Bat movies.
There you
Like,
go. Yeah. Let's
who
run with it.
cares? Who cares what the characters are? Let's do Man Bat. Like,
Oh wow.
I want
Yeah.
to see Martian Manhunter instead of Black Superman. Make Martian Manhunter, make him black.
Yeah.
see,
Because I think
that's a
in some
brilliant idea.
iterations he's black.
It's
That's
a
fine.
brilliant idea. John Johns. I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Jones is the
I
blackest
think there's
name.
plenty of
He's
black
a
representation in
badass
DC
dude,
for that they can run with. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of
But
things. Like I think Mikey, you brought up Icon. If they want to do it, they can do Icon. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, they are doing Icon, but yeah.
Let's move on. Let's move on from poor DC.
This is like I guess, man. Whenever I get like a scoop from people I know at Warner, I get roll my eyes most of the time. Like I can't use the stuff most of the time
Wow.
because the idea is so bad that I know it's not gonna stick. Like if I run this by next week, they've changed their minds already, and it's pointless. So
So when
Like
you
it's
get a
like
scoop,
so DC bought the rights to Cabbage Patch Kids. So Icon's gonna come out of a Cabbage Patch Kid.
and then they're gonna meet the Garbage Pail Kids.
Put it in the My Little Pony universe.
Yeah. Oh man. So you're very selective. I mean, you get a lot that comes to you. You're very selective what you actually publish.
Yeah, I don't spill everything. What I do is I try and get at least 2 or 3 other sources to confirm it. And I'm very careful when I do post it. Like, okay, this is a declarative post because it could change. So I tell people when it's like really raw, like, okay, this might not stick, but here it is, But I get a lot of scoops that sound dubious that I don't run. I get scoops that sound really, really stupid. I'm like, man, I don't want to run this because like people are gonna be like, what the hell is that? Like the whole Black Wakanda Krypton thing was just so bad.
Wow, that was.
And I'm
wild.
like,
We'll see.
they can't be seriously thinking this. They probably were. I mean,
probably. That definitely needs to get rewritten. But Eddie Gomez on Twitch is asking, Mikey, did you see the original trio comeback for The Cursed Child? I don't know if that means anything for you. I don't know.
What was that again?
He's talking about, did you see the original trio comeback for Cursed Child? That's what he's asking you on Twitch there.
I'm not even familiar with that. I don't think.
No, well, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a DC executive.
They're probably trolling us right now, interrupting the show. But
I have a question for you, Mike. I'm sorry, Speedy.
No, go ahead.
My people, there were different sects who were excited about different Marvel shows that were coming out when they were going to be doing the Disney Plus shows. I was a Falcon Winter Soldier person. I was more excited about that than I was for WandaVision.
Yeah.
And for Loki. And Black Widow, all these other projects. Any predictions for Falcon Winter Soldier?
In terms of the quality, or in terms of like what Easter eggs they're gonna drop, or
what are we gonna see? What direction is it going? Is it gonna be more grounded? Is it gonna be more like Avengers? Or
I can tell you right now, it is going to be almost like an homage to 80s buddy cop movies. 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon, that type of thing. Combine that with the grit of the Winter Soldier. And I heard there are going to be some trippy moments in that show. So if you're thinking, okay, straightforward action series, apparently you'll see some weird stuff in that. It won't be like WandaVision weird, right? That's really weird, but it'll take, again, the MCU to a whole new level, is what I've been hearing.
Wow.
So expect surprises. And concerning where the show will take place, I wouldn't be shocked if there's some kind of Wolverine Easter egg in the series somewhere.
Okay.
You did
But it
give
won't
me
be
a.
it won't be the mind trip that WandaVision is,
Oh, okay. Okay.
but it's gonna
You
be
did.
a really good show.
I want to talk about a little bit about a scoop, an exclusive scoop that you gave me in the past, Mikey.
Yeah.
We talked about I shared a scoop that you gave me about the Shi'ar Empire.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, so that's something that's gonna have to evolve, obviously, because we're not even anywhere close to that. But
Yeah.
when do you think Kevin Feige's gonna do everything that that's exciting about the X-Men now that was never done by Fox? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what he's gonna focus on. He's gonna focus on things that haven't been done before.
Yeah.
That's why I said before they're gonna wait on Magneto before he shows up because they don't want to. He doesn't want to replay what's already been done over and over again. I mean, Fox kept using Magneto every single movie, man. Magneto again and again and again. You know, he wants to show the Savage Land, for instance, with Kazar, and what's his name, the bird villain. I can't remember his name now.
Zordon. What's his name?
Yeah. So if
Zordon.
you're a fan of the animated series from the '90s, get very excited.
All right.
Because he's going to incorporate much of the storylines for the X-Men coming up.
Nice.
And it's a smart move because we're now in that area of '90s nostalgia now.
Yeah. I'm actually rewatching the X-Men from the '90s.
Oh, there you go.
I've started from the beginning and rewatching it. It's still really
still good. This is a good show.
It's a good show.
I remember my mother used to watch it with me when I was a kid. That's how good it was. And she would ask me questions as a kid.
You know what's funny at the time? Because I was in college when that show came out. It kind of got lost in the shadow of Batman the Animated Series. They were on at the same time. But now, after all these years, it's starting to get the respect it always deserved. Like, that was a really good show. And
that was one of the
very faithful to the comic book, you know?
It was one of the first cartoons I remember being like previously on the X-Men, and you had to I think G.I. Joe did that sometimes, but you had to follow X-Men, and you would be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, and the TV stations would always air them out of order too.
Yeah, they did. But we're going to get a more faithful X-Men franchise coming up, that's for sure. And you are going to see the Starjammers and characters like that.
Yeah, I'm excited for
Mikey, as a fan, being a fan of this genre, these dramas for a long time, is there anything you want to see brought to film or to television or to an app? Any franchise that hasn't been done? I know Speedy wants Robotech.
I do want Robotech. Mikey.
That'll kick it.
Yeah, if you hear any scoop about Robotech, I want the exclusive, okay?
All right, you'll get. Okay, I promise you right now on the air, you will get. Yeah, there is. In particular, there is a franchise I grew up on as a kid. I was a huge fan of. In fact, the brother of the creator was a friend of mine. He died last year, sadly. But the creator's still alive, but he's in the hospital still. He's got some brain injury. A long story, but anyway, it's the Micronauts. I am a huge fan of the Micronauts.
I think that might happen.
Yeah, and there are plans for the animated series. I know Hasbro has plans for a Micronauts film. They've had them for a while now. They haven't done anything with it. Right. But their plan was to cross over the Micronauts with G.I. Joe and Transformers and a Hasbro cinematic universe. So, and those plans are back on the table now. So
we talked about that and very extensively on our show. Terry. We came to the conclusion that if they don't have same thing, if they don't have a Kevin Feige to like really write and usher that in, it's gonna be a disaster waiting to happen or a train wreck waiting to happen. We think.
But see, my vision of the Micronauts though is our characters that Hasbro doesn't own. They're owned by Marvel, like Bug and Marionette. So that's why I'm like, well, my vision of the Micronauts will not hit the silver screen. So, in terms of the MCU, I really want to see the new Agents of Atlas because it has all those Asian characters in it. And there's none being planned as of yet, but what I am told that they will eventually make an Agents of Atlas series with the Filipino superhero wave and Swordmaster. You know, Jimmy Woo is a part of that.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Oh,
mean, we already have him. So
You already have him. Amadeus Amadeus Cho. I mean,
we're
is
gonna get
part of
Shang
that.
Chi. So
Yeah.
I
So
think it's very
Shang-Chi's
close.
part of it. So
Yeah.
you know they're going to lead to it like an Avengers where you introduce characters one by one. So that I'm really looking forward to. But I tell you the MCU project I have been dreaming about for the longest time is the Invaders. They have
Oh
Submariner
yeah,
in World War II fighting with
yeah,
Captain America,
yeah.
and
oh yeah.
that would be awesome. You know,
I
and
think that would be great.
yeah, with the whole multiverse thing, they can have a story like that where yeah, Captain America, yeah, he fought in the war, but he fought in the war with Submariner. Like,
Hmm.
well, that's badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. We can
But
also. I mean, they did put that little Easter egg of the original Human Torch in the.
yeah,
I
yeah,
forget
they
which
did.
Iron Man
So
movie
like,
it was. I think the
so
second one maybe.
are they gonna let that go, or they're gonna do something with it? Because
Hmm.
you know, 'cause they didn't have the Torch rights back then, so they couldn't really do anything.
I see.
So
Well,
they
now
call
they
him
could
the
do. Now they could do
Synthezoid
whatever
Man.
they want.
You don't even want so.
Yeah.
I'm just well, I know they will do Galactus correctly this time, so
Well,
I'm excited about Fantastic Four greatly.
yeah, me too. You want to touch anything about the Star Wars Lucasfilm stuff? I know we had the famous firing of Gina Carano, and just
Yeah,
as far it's just disappointing to see some Disney company like Marvel just excel, and then Lucasfilm kind of like has all this bad press right now. Anything you want to share about Star Wars universe for any of the Star Wars fans out there?
yeah. I think Dave Filoni of The Mandalorian. I think he is going to have more creative power in the years ahead. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy is going to be there for very much longer.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, you think she's on the way out? Definitely.
I think she is, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying that out of bias against her or anything. I'm just seeing the writing on the wall, and
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
definitely.
the
I agree as well.
Mandalorian, all the spin-off shows, you can see what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one person who's making the right decisions right now, and it's well two people, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. They're going to be the Kevin Feige's of Lucasfilm because they're doing that already for the Mandalorian,
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
and they're
To
very
critical
similar in
acclaim.
their because they like Kathleen Kennedy wanted to let the past die, and like there was a quote from her saying that, well, Kevin Feige has an advantage because he has all these books to work with. I'm like, excuse me.
Adam.
What? Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Star
there's an
Wars.
expanded
What?
universe
Let
of
me show
books
you
there
this
that
extended universe. Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
universe, yeah, of books there to, and and Favreau and Filoni are gonna mix and match parts of those books that they can use for their shows, and it's a very Kevin Feige like approach, and I think we're going to see that franchise going in the direction, the creative supervision of those two men in the near future, just simply because they're so successful doing it. I mean, they get another hit Star Wars show on their hands, man, it's all over, man. You know, how can
Yeah.
you not vote those guys to be the head of this thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
Yeah. It
it makes no sense.
seems like they did everything possible to do what was in the books and change it to
Yeah,
make it that it wasn't like the books, which was so,
Yeah.
yeah,
so frustrating. It's like, oh, there is okay, so Leia and Han do have a son that's powerful with the Force, but it's not the twins.
Yeah.
yeah.
And there is some other, but it's not Luke's. They just like,
So,
why are y'all doing that? Like, just do the
but
book.
do you think Lucasfilm will have the cojones to reboot the sequel trilogy
No,
if they
no,
wanted
no.
to? Or
I think that's pretty much over and
set in
done
stone?
with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree as well.
I think what they're going to do is adapt more from the books and the comics that and tweak them for this new continuity,
Hmm.
and make them fresh.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige did the same thing. Like Infinity War wasn't exactly like Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, there's going to be changes, but the essence of the story is there,
Right.
and certainly cool scenes from the comic book are there. So they're going to be doing that with Lucasfilm in the future. But it won't be the same. I think it'll be a much better Star Wars product coming through the door in the next couple of years. And it's all coming from the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is basically the Iron Man
Yeah, that's
of this
the.
franchise. I mean,
Yep.
it's a big bang. It's like
Good.
how the MCU started,
Yep.
and I think Mandalorian is how Star Wars restarted.
Mm.
I
And
like it.
everything is going to branch out from the Mandalorian.
I like it.
I think that's where.
Do you see them
And
when any other products for Lucasfilm like Indiana Jones coming back out or anything else?
I think with Indiana Jones they have that. I think the fifth movie. But I just don't see them like trying to expand on that unless they have some kind of young indie thing they do on Disney Plus. I see that as a possibility. But I think the two main Disney franchises are the MCU and Star Wars.
Excellent,
And we're going
excellent.
to see a lot more Star Wars shows than we're seeing now.
Yeah, they
But
did.
what happens next is that Filoni and Favreau are doing all this stuff for Disney Plus right now. You're gonna start seeing them do stuff for theatrical releases, um, and I think they're gonna save their big projects for that. But I really don't see Kathleen Kennedy sticking around. She's gonna retire anyway,
Yeah.
so I don't think she's gonna be around.
All right, cool.
Wish she'd make some
So
people out there happy. I know. Hey guys,
yeah,
I know you're out there watching.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Before I let you go,
Yeah,
Mikey, thank you so much
yeah,
for hanging out with us here
yeah. Thank you so much.
and
This has
sharing
been
and
a
being
real
so
blast.
candid with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to talk about Voltus V because you are
Hmm.
a Philippine, and
Yeah.
this is a Voltus V. For anybody who doesn't know, is a Japanese anime that came out in the '70s, and it was in your in the Philippines. It was actually very culturally
Oh god.
important.
Huge show.
Yeah, so if you could explain for anyone that Voltus V is, because I like Macross, Robotech, I got a big
Yeah.
robot fetish. You know what I mean? So I recognize that Voltus V was one of the Shogun Warriors, but
Yeah.
that was
It
about
was.
it as
Yeah.
far as what my exposure to the cartoon was. And
Yeah.
I actually need to sit down and actually watch this because I wanna dive
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, I heard about this project about I think 2 years ago, and
Right, they're doing the live action
yeah,
version of this in the
the
Philippines, right?
yeah, it's a live action show for the GMA network in the Philippines, and the interesting part about this show is that no one knew that they were going to do this. It was under wraps. It just so happens that the visual designer of the series started following me on Facebook
Hmm.
a
Interesting.
year or two or
Mhm.
so ago,
Mhm.
and I brought it up. I guess like a memoria thing where they had a still from the old cartoon,
Right.
and he messaged me and said, "Hey, I like your scoops and everything. I want to show you something, but can you keep it to yourself?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I checked my private message the next day, and he sends me designs for the show, and I'm like, "What
Oh
is
wow.
it?" He goes, "Yeah, but don't tell anybody, but the GMA network got the rights to the series, and we're gonna do a live
Wow.
action version." And I'm
Dope.
like, "What?" And
Dope. So
he goes, "Don't show this to anybody." And I got designs from the series that he drew, and I'm like, "I'm supposed to keep this for myself?" They said, "Yeah,
so a lot
okay."
of people who don't understand why it's so culturally important in the Philippines is because it was actually banned
It
at
was
one
banned,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
President Ferdinand Marcos took the shows off the air like a year after they were on. Um, he was saying that they caused kids to become violent. But really, what was really going on was the spirit of rebellion in the
Mhm.
shows. He was afraid that
Mm.
kids would get ideas from it.
Oh
And
wow.
Right.
sure enough, when he was booted out of office,
Mhm.
those kids that grew up on the show. were the ones who got
Yeah.
him out of it.
Do you think his banning was what was the catalyst for that?
I don't think it's a cat. I think people were so pent up and angry
Right.
from all the everything that he was doing. I don't think it's related to that, but it became a symbol for it. It became a symbol of freedom for all Generation X and all the kids that were growing up at the time. And back then, 78, 79, you had nothing else but TV. There's no internet.
Yeah.
So when you like the show, you really like the show. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
there was no
Like,
VHS tapes you could record it. You watch it once that day. You have to wait till the next day to watch another
oh
episode
wow.
or whatever.
So it was important. It was a big
It
deal.
was important, yeah, especially if you're
Yeah.
growing up. And I lived there for 3 years in the '80s, and man, all the kids would talk about that show, right? There was a show that was on the air. It was no longer on the air, and so this artist, Noel Leon Flores, he messaged me all the designs. I said, keep it to yourself, don't tell anybody. A few months later, it was announced, and I kept the artwork to myself. No one ever saw them. And then so when it came to time to cast the show, I had informants at the network tell me who was going to be cast, and I leaked it, and it all was all completely accurate. Um, it got a lot of attention in the country. Like, oh my god, who is leaking information out? Well, yeah, it's me. And the network wasn't used to having leakers, so they put a gag order on everybody not to talk about the show anymore. So,
Oh wow. Okay.
but here's
All
the
right.
interesting part about the designer.
Uh-huh.
He wanted to work with me because I mentioned I wanted to do a comic book,
Right.
and he messaged me because, hey, what kind of comic book are you doing? I said, well, I don't know yet. It's very manga influenced. This is what I'm thinking of, like a comedy. And he goes, well, I would be interested in drawing this. I'm like, well, okay, sure. Dude, I had no idea how big this guy was, right? I had no fucking clue. Like this guy was
Really?
huge.
Wow.
Seriously. And I didn't even look him up. Like I guess I saw his designs, like great designs, like this guy is like the top visual designer in the country
Wow.
for television and film. Like he's huge. He's like a one man ILM, right?
Wow.
So
Okay. All
I
right.
had this guy offering me this thing, like, okay, sure, cool, whatever, man. And so for like a year I didn't really look him up. I just I had this comic book idea in my head. I hadn't approached him with any ideas yet. And so I had a stroke. I was recovering from it, and I came home one day. I mean, after when I was still recovering. I mean, I came home because I almost died from the stroke, and I couldn't walk for a
Yes.
while. I couldn't write, and I was recovering. When I was recovering, I started walking again.
Mhm.
Um, so I went in the living room. My mom was watching this Filipino soap opera, and I don't watch those soap operas, but
Mhm.
I just I was too tired to go back to my room, so I just sat down and watched it with her. And I saw this actress on there, and I'm like, who is that? I mean, she just really caught my eye. I was like, that is like, my God, one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And discovered she was Kate Valdez. And that's her name. Like, so I went on my Facebook and I posted her picture, and but the artist for the show, he messaged me and goes, "Hey, I know her personally. I designed her show.
Excellent. There you
Like,
go.
what show was that?" It
Things
was
are
a show
happening one
called
by one.
Yeah, it was a show called Encantadia, like the
Mhm.
biggest show ever in the country. And so I
Wow.
went on YouTube and I started watching the series. Right, his name was the second on the credits.
Oh wow.
And I'm like,
Okay.
Wow.
oh my God, I'm working with this guy? This is the
Yeah.
guy I'm working with. I couldn't believe it. But she was on the show, and he goes, you know what? Do you want to interview her? Like, I can arrange it. I'm like, what? I just posted her picture, now I can interview her? He goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, okay. And so I said, yeah, he gives me the contact information for her manager, and I contact her manager. Within a week, I'm interviewing Kate Valdez.
Yeah. Oh man.
Wow.
Awesome. So.
And I'm like, and during one of our conversations, not the interview, but succeeding conversations I had with her, she told me she was a huge fan of Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina show. And I'm like, huh. And because I was stuck on my comic books, I didn't know how to write this book. I know I had an artist now, right?
Right.
Originally, it was going to be a comedy, like a manga comedy. I can't write comedy. I mean, I just like, oh man, I can't write this. I'm struggling, and I have a beautiful artist here. He's incredible, and have no script to give him, right? But she tells me, because when I first saw her, I'm like, you look like the character I want to write. Like, all of a sudden, I have a picture of my character now. Like of how I want her to look like. Then the actress herself tells me she's like Sabrina. So, okay, I haven't seen Sabrina on Netflix before. I start watching Sabrina. I'm like, bingo, that's it. I want to turn this into a Filipino horror comic.
Nice.
With a girl.
So
then,
she's the model for the comic book. The character
is
going to be based on her, kind of like Keanu Reeves' comic book, kind of.
Exactly, yeah. And so I told my artist, I said, you know what? I want to do a horror comic and then model the character after Kate Valdez. And so for like a year and a half, I couldn't write the script. I wrote it in a week. I finished it in a week. I mean, it wrote itself, right? Because all of a sudden it's horror. That's my natural element. And so I sent him the script, and he loved it. And he said, you know what? The first part of the script, this is great. Why don't we change it to this? And I said, you know, that's a great idea, but are you sure that's not too much work for you? Because he wanted a more of an epic opening, but I kept thinking that, man, that's gonna be hard to draw, you know. I said, okay, I'll rewrite it. If it's okay with you to draw something that's gonna take a lot of time to draw. And he goes, yeah, sure. And so the first pages came in, I was just totally blown away. And so the comic book is coming out in August 2021.
Excellent.
Which is actually the birthday of Kate Valdez. It's her 21st birthday, so...
And what's the name of it?
21 in 2021.
Do you have a name for it yet?
Huh?
Do you have a name for it yet?
I will announce it soon. In fact, I'll probably go on your show and announce it.
All right, yeah. Absolutely. You're welcome to join us, Mikey, especially if we're live, okay?
Sure.
Keep my link... Keep the little link there for the show and in a safe place. Okay?
And just want to say that I have gotten interest for film and TV for it.
Ah, nice.
I can say for now, but there might come a day where people are scooping about me, which I find.
Yeah, there you go. There we go. That's a good thing. Mikey, before I let you go, let's get some people who are in the chat.
Sure. Sure. Great.
Red Lodge says he's ready. Will the Savage Land be coming? So I think so.
Yeah.
Savage Land MCU.
It'll be in the from what I heard, from what I scooped before. It'll be in the second movie, the second X-Men.
Oh, okay. I like that.
With Sauron.
Daisy Ridley in MCU. Do you think have a casting or something? Maybe?
You know, there's just back and forth between Star Wars and MCU, you know, if you notice.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that they're negotiating with her right now, but my prediction is that she is going to get a mutant role, and I don't know what it is.
Oh, man.
But they're casting those mutants, man. I'm telling you, they're going to go after her.
She'd be a great Storm, I think.
They've worked with, and... I think she's got a bright future ahead of her.
Not Storm. I mean,
yeah.
Gosh,
and I do think with
Rogue,
I think Tom Holland will end up in the MCU.
Yeah, I think she'd be a great Rogue.
Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, I think she'd be a great Rogue.
Yeah, because you know he auditioned before for Star Wars, but lost it to John Boyega.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, very well.
But I think he'll...
There's a super chat here. I want to give it because he gave a little bit of money here. Mikey, do you see Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson return to do the rumored Harry Potter movie called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child? With question marks. Do you know anything about that? We talked about this already.
I don't know anything about it, but I wouldn't rule it out.
There we go.
Wouldn't
And also, I think your manager's in the chat too, and he says that there's some new info about Calvin Ellis on Geekosity in about 2 minutes.
Yes,
Or
there is.
probably 2 minutes have probably passed, so it means it's probably up now.
Yes, there is.
All right. Thank you so much, Mikey, for joining us here on
Thank
the
you so
live
much.
show, man.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
I had you here for about an hour and a half now, and we'll let you go.
Yeah,
So
like it
you
flew
can,
by so quickly, you know.
yeah. We hit so many great high notes on everything, man. And so
Can't believe I spilled about the Black Wakanda thing. I was just like,
it's okay. It's good.
I never
Good.
thought I would
I
say
guess,
anything about that before. I'm sure
m-
the idea is thrown in the trash by
maybe
now.
you'll make my
Black
show
Wakanda.
be viral.
Yeah,
Mikey Sutton said they're thinking about Black Wakanda at
yeah, Black
Black
Krypton. I mean,
Black Krypton at Warner
yeah,
Brothers.
Wakandan Krypton. What do you call it anyway? Krypton Wakanda. Krypton forever. Oh no, no, Krypton forever. No.
Prompting. You
Mike,
call it prompting.
yeah. I know you like to keep yourself private at times, but if there
Yeah.
anything public you would like to share as far as anyone that wants to follow you?
Well, geekositymag.com. Please, we actually update every day. Always have scoops on there or covering other people's news. It's a great place to go. And I do have a Facebook page, Mikey Sutton. You can just search for me there. I have over 2,000 people like waiting for
Oh
Facebook
wow.
friends, but
Yeah.
you can't follow me. So
Right.
um,
Oh okay.
I just wish that Facebook didn't have like limited.
Restrictions. Yeah.
Yeah, they limit you to five. Like I am really close to 5,000. I'm keeping a couple of hundred slots open just in case some industry people wanna befriend me. But
Nice.
it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Mikey,
Thank
for
you
joining us
guys.
here. Have a good one. Have a good
You
night.
too. Great day,
Bye.
guys. I know it's
All
been a
right.
lot of fun. We'll do this again sometime, and
Yes.
I'll come bearing gifts. You know.
Yes. You are welcome to the show anytime. We do it
Thank you guys.
Mondays. We're usually live Mondays. I think your time it would be 3:00 p.m.
Okay.
Was when we do it. Yep. So you're welcome to join us anytime. Okay, Mikey. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us.
Hey, take care, guys.
All right. Have
See
a
you
good
later.
one. See ya.
All right. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye, Tarek. It's Speedy Jr. and Tarek Lewis signing off for Geek Culture Congress. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us every Monday right here live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our live show, and we will go deeper into WandaVision Monday. Right, Tarek?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Peace.